All right. Well, good afternoon. Good morning to some of you. Welcome to our webinar today, Rapidly Enabling Remote Workers with G Suite. I am so excited you're here. Real quick before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. Today's session is going to be recorded, and we will send out a recording to everybody who's registered as soon as it's ready, once the webinar has completed. Second, we do have all people muted by default. That's just because we are expecting a large number of participants today. And so to take away from any background noise or distractions, we have everybody muted, but we would love for this to be as interactive as a session as it can be. So throughout today's session, if you have any questions, feel free to chat those questions to us in the chat section of your GoToWebinar control panel. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this session started. So again, for those of you who've just jumped in, welcome to our webinar. Today's session is Rapidly Enabling Your Remote Workers. My name is Natalie Sorrells, and I lead our professional services team here at Worsta. I've personally been in the Google partner ecosystem for over 10 years and have really worked with teams and overseen some of Google's most strategic deployments. My team here at Worsta is responsible for not only helping our clients deploy and migrate to G Suite, but my team, we have a really strong belief, right, in moving your business to Google Cloud is really just the beginning. And we can come in to help set in motion a repeatable process that incites innovation and enables collaboration across teams throughout your organization. Our expert consultants here at Worsta, we leverage collaboration design methodologies to fully understand and analyze your business process, how your employees interact with technology, and the corresponding workflows down to the individual departments. This allows us to create and implement a technology roadmap that leverages G Suite to really start redefining how your business communicates. But for today, we're talking about how to rapidly enable your workforce on G Suite, right? Really responding to the time that we are in today in this kind of global crisis of COVID-19. So on this webinar with me today, I've invited our own G Suite admin, G Suite everything expert, really, our director of support, who I call our master of tinkering in all the G Suite tools, Charles Kramer. So Charles, thank you so much for joining us, and he is going to help demo a lot of the parts, especially when it comes to how quickly and easily and seamlessly, really, you can stand up G Suite inside of your organization. So again, we are so grateful that you're here and truly want to extend our deepest thoughts to all of you and your businesses as we really get through this uncertain time together, right? And as uncertain as it may be, G Suite really does offer some powerful tools that can really transform your workforce into a highly functioning remote workplace. So whether you've been a G Suite customer for years and you just need some guidance on how to better support your people that are remote, or you're here to find out really just how you can actually enable your people, we really are truly happy that you're here. This session is intended for current G Suite admins, IT staff, maybe business leaders, really anyone that would be part of the solutioning and the decision for your digital or remote work strategy. And really the objective is for us to demonstrate to you just how quickly you can get your workforce enabled remotely. So we are going to do this by following this agenda. So first, Charles is going to walk you through the steps to show you how you can get Google stood up for your domain and how you can get it configured properly. Then we're going to discuss how to enable video conferencing with Google Meet and really how to manage that and what your options are for your users. Next, we'll demonstrate how to use Google Chat for real-time communications to keep employees better connected. And then we'll share some best practices for the change management piece of all this, right? What do you need to do to communicate, to support, to train your people on these tools? And hopefully at the end, it's always my famous last words, we'll leave some time for Q&A. Although I feel like when you get me and Charles in a webinar together, we're going to talk the whole time. But we'll do our best to do some Q&A at the end. We even have some flexibility to stay after if there's any questions. Of course, at the end, we'll also give you a link on how to contact Worsted directly or Charles and I directly if you have follow-up questions after today's session. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Charles to talk about kind of, I think about it in 3 different parts, right? First, he's going to talk about setting up G Suite, right? How, again, you can add your users, you can, create organizational units to better manage your different groups of users inside of G Suite, and how to turn services on or off, right? Or how to turn certain services on or off per org unit. He's going to walk you through a little bit about Google Vault. We're of course not going to do like full training on Google Vault, although we can definitely do some follow up with you after if anyone needs that, right? But this is really kind of just showing you, what is Google Vault, how you access it, right? How you can set your retention rules for your different G Suite applications, creating legal holds matters, right? Doing some auditing through Vault. And then he's going to dig in deeper here to talk more about the Google Drive functionality, even before we get to meet and chat, right? So Google Drive is your cloud storage, and here you can control as a domain admin a lot about different sharing settings, how users are transferring data, for G Suite enterprise clients, how you can set up data loss prevention. So let me kind of stop there, those 3 parts, and let's turn it over to Charles for more of a real-time demonstration.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalie, for that quick introduction. Yeah, so right here in our next section, I'm going to take over the presentation, and we're going to dive in and look at a real-world scenario and how quickly you can get yourself and your organization set up on G Suite. So I'm going to share my screen here, and everyone now should be seeing the Google admin panel. So Google tries to make all of its tools scalable and easily understandable, though still powerful. So the first step that we'd have to figure out when we set up our G Suite tenant is we need to verify that our domain actually belongs to us. And so the place that we would do that is right here in domains. I'm not going to walk you through the whole process. There's actually a help article that we're going to post in the chat here that'll walk you step by step through this. But very, very clean, very easy. I'm going to manage my domains. I come into here. I select, maybe I would have added my new domain here. I select my registrar. Most of the time it's GoDaddy. Maybe it's Google. And all it's going to ask you to do is to add that text record into your DNS. And that may be too high level for you. Send it over to your tech team and they should know what to do. Once that's done, we click the red verify button and boom, we verified with Google that we actually own the domain that we're claiming to own. Now that we've verified our domain, and that honestly takes no more than 10 minutes, we can come back and start to set up G Suite for our use. The first thing we want to look at is we understand how our organization is going to operate and how we're going to control who has access to what services or applications. The first step to doing that is a little bit of planning. We need to understand where the organizational breaks are. So what are our operational divides in our business that are going to require differential access to tools and services? A common structure is to divide based on roles. So what we see a lot of people that we bring on right away will have executives and employees. That's a pretty good split. Of course, there are some businesses that will have a more granular breakdown between specific business units, or even need to consider other resources like consultants, external members of your business. Over time, a lot of businesses will go from a simple structure into more complicated environments, but you may need to start from the go with a complex environment. In that case, please let us know, And as a G Suite partner, we're very, adept and have a lot of experience in helping you identify the appropriate structure for your business based on your use cases. So for this exercise, I'm going to set up 3 different organizational units or show you how you might do that. Oops, I apologize for a minute there. We're going to just do executives, employees, and contractors. You may, if you're looking at my screen, already know exactly where to go for this. I'm logged in to the admin panel, and I typically click on organizational units. And you'll notice that I've actually already set these up to save us some time. If I wanted to create a new organizational unit, you may be able to guess it's the big yellow plus sign in the upper left-hand corner. And then I could name that organizational unit. So perhaps I would say, maybe these are offboarded individuals holding until deletion, right? So maybe I have a set of users where I want to turn off their access to services if I know I'm turning down their accounts, but maybe I'm just keeping them on board for now to store their information for legal reasons. It's as easy as clicking a plus button and adding those groups. Of course, if I don't really need this, I can delete it. Simple. So the organizational unit structuring is really easy. Well, how about adding users? That's probably complicated. Maybe you have 10, maybe you have hundreds, maybe you have thousands of users. Google actually makes that process pretty simple as well. We go back to the home. There's right from the home screen, you see users. Once you go to this users area, you'll notice at the top here, we have some options. I can manually add users one by one if I like using Google's interface. This obviously probably isn't the most efficient means of adding your users, but it gives you a point and click. If you have, 20 or fewer users, maybe that's what you use. If you like to bulk upload users using a spreadsheet, you can click on the bulk upload users. And although maybe I don't have my data prepared right now, Google gives us a template that we can use and download. So, or B, if you're already on G Suite, but you need to add a lot more users, you can download your current user base to sort of have a look at how you've already configured things and perhaps make both changes. In this case, I'm going to just quickly show you what happens when you download a blank template. I simply click CSV template. It's going to try and save this, so I'll save it in the documents section of my computer. And if I open this up, you're going to see a lot of columns. Now, the only columns that really matter are those that say required at the end, and there's only 4 or 5 of those. So first name, last name, what's their email address going to be, and what's their password. And then the final required area is org unit, which is what we just configured, right? So obviously, I don't want to walk you through all my typing, so I'm going to just come out of this and look at a document that I recently created myself. So here we have a set of users, 7 users. I have an executive, I have 2 contractors, and I have 4 employees. I've simply put in their email addresses and then generated a random password. So if I save this document, now I can come back very quickly, click to attach a CSV, click on that data, open it, upload it. Google's working on it in the background. So we'll see if it takes, boom. All right, it's already completed. I'm gonna refresh this screen just so we make sure we get it all in there. And now Bob Fidel and Bill Lumberg were 2 users that I had added, and you now see them here. One other place that I can see those users then is if I want a quick view, is I can click on my employees organization unit or my executives, and I'll see that breakdown. Okay, great. So now I've created my organization units, I've added my users. Now I want to implement my policy. So the first place you want to go, a lot of times you're just trying to ramp up your workforce, particularly in a time like this. How do I get access for my workforce to my applications? Well, from the admin panel, I think it's pretty clear. We just click on the apps icon. Once we're here, you're going to see a lot of different areas. The two you're probably going to be concerned with immediately are going to be primarily G Suite, and then maybe if you use something like Google's EDU platform, the additional services. But for us and here and for Gmail and Meet and Calendar, that's all going to be under this G Suite core services. So I click in this top left corner here, and now I can see that these services are on for everyone. By default, they may not be. And you may, for your business, not actually want to have storage. Maybe you're using a different platform for storage. So adding and removing these services is really easy. So for example, maybe with contractors, I only want my contractors to be able to use Gmail and Calendar. I don't actually need them to be storing files. So I can click on all of these services that I don't want them to have access to. Maybe I don't even want Calendar. Maybe I'm just giving them mail. I can select all of these other services that Gmail has under SLA and select off. Now you may notice here that it says overridden and inherited. At the domain level, you can make settings. And so here we said turn on. And so for all of these sub OU is what they call them, units, it's going to inherit those settings. And of course, in this contractors, we've actually said that we want these services off. And so that's why it's saying that those services are overridden. Again, if you need any assistance with any of this or understanding how to do this or create special groupings, you can always contact us. Now, one other scenario, a lot of times you may have major breakdowns of your business, East Coast, West Coast, and then have executives. But the need for services doesn't always cut across those organizational unit boundaries. Sometimes you actually need to have a little more specific guidance for those users that need certain services. And so what Google has actually been rolling out is the ability to set policies for these applications based on groups. So here, for example, maybe I have a set of contractors that I put into a group, and we'll call it this Google Alpha group, right? So maybe anyone that's in the Google Alpha group should actually have access. I want to make sure they have access to Calendar, Drive, and Gmail. So for that group, I can actually make sure that they do have those applications. So just as a quick review, we very quickly walked through verifying our domain, creating the OU, uploading our users, and turning on services, and it took us a matter of minutes. Obviously, you'll have a little bit more time and you're doing data gathering, but ramping up on G Suite is really fast and is very efficient. Okay, great. So now all my users are on G Suite. How do I protect myself legally? Google has a tool called Google Vault that underlies all of their services. And this, depending on your settings, is going to capture all of the data and changes that are occurring on your domain, in your documents, in your Drive, in email. It can even capture things like draft data, all of your chats, voice. So there's sort of two aspects here. There's the legal aspect, and then there's the retention aspect. When I first come into Google Vault, you'll see on this left-hand side, we sort of have our broad navigation ability here. So if I click on retention, this is going to be, you'll want to come in right away and set policy here. By default, retention is set to off. And so Google in the background isn't capturing any information. Of course, always consult your legal. That's always our first recommendation. But if you're trying to hop on G Suite right away, you'll want to come in and set your default retention rules. This is what we always suggest, to indefinite. What this means is if I click on mail, I say I check a box saying set default retention rules for mail, and then I click indefinitely. The reason I recommend that you come in and you immediately set everything for indefinite is you can always delete this data. You can always come back around and with your legal team decide what information to pull but you can't ever recover that information. So for example, I could set a policy for mail where after 360 days, all deleted messages are expunged, or all messages are expunged. Same for Drive and Groups and Chat and Meet, and Voice and Sites are coming a little bit later this year. So this is critical to protecting yourself legally, and all I have to do is come in and write with 3 clicks on each of these, I can set my default retention rule for all these services and protect myself. Then I can come through on the back end and set up my custom rules. Now, let's say there was a legal matter and your legal team or legal personnel need access to the information. It's a simple click on the left-hand side. We can click on Matters. You'd want to create a new matter. We'll pretend, right, this is our first legal matter. Obviously, probably leave some notes. Charles was bad. Create a new matter. Now, this matter can be shared out amongst the legal team. They can do individual searches to find information, to search for information. Those searches can be saved. You can export the information gathered in those searches. And you can even audit the activity that's been done inside of Drive. And so if you need to audit who's been searching over the sensitive data, either because you're being careful or for regulatory reasons, you can audit any action that's taken here, even the audits themselves. So a lot of powerful, although it's a very simple and old looking interface, there's a lot of power here to understand what's happening in your domain if required. And then of course there are some reports on the various user holds. The one thing I want to note as a big watch point here, if you guys move on to G Suite and you delete a user, you want to make sure that you will back up their information and their legal information, because when you delete a user or remove their licenses, that data is automatically removed from Vault. That's an important watch point there. So finally, our last section to dive into would be Drive and Docs. So just so everyone gets the repetitiveness of this. So if I come into the Google Admin panel, I can click on Apps, then I can click on G Suite. I want to manage Drive and Doc settings. Before we use this screen to turn on or off services, I'm just going to click on Drive and Doc. So the same way that I could control the way that users access the Drive service, I can control how users are able to share information. So it may be that I want my executives to be able to share outside of Worsta, but I don't want everyone else to. So what I might do is on this left-hand panel, I'd select under organizational units my top domain, domain.worsta.com. And then maybe I'd do something like turn off the ability for file sharing, or maybe just do it with whitelisted domains. Whitelisted domains means maybe there are companies that I work with frequently and I would like for my employees to generally engage with them, but if it's anyone outside of that, they're going to need approval. So here we have another company, partner of ours, but we could put, if we had some other domains, we could add those as well. If I click Save here, it takes a little bit of time for the policy to save, but it rolls out pretty quickly. Google's rule is all these changes roll within 24 hours, but most often it happens within the first, if not the first 10 minutes, in the first couple of hours. Of course, my executives now in this scenario need to be able to share with whoever they would like. So I can come on in and I can change the setting here and I can click to override. So I can get really granular with my permissions. You may have also noticed, and I'm not going to jump into that here, but you'll notice that there's actually groups permission too. So I could control that ability to share externally through a Google group if I wanted, or a permissions group. So there's a lot of power here. There are shared drives. If you have teams that need collective access to a set of documents, you can allow or disallow the ability to create or manage shared drives. And then You can actually control whether people are able to share links globally or within your own company at the bottom here. Some other abilities that you have with the Drive and Dock system is you're able to, if you need to transfer data from one user to another, let's say you're offboarding a user, there's a data transfer tool. And it's as simple as clicking transfer ownership, typing one email, typing another, and then transferring the files. If you want to control, there's a lot of feature and functionality within the Google Drive platform. And if you want to manage any of those settings, you're able to do that through the features and applications section. So Drive File Stream is a way that you can mount your Google Drive to your computer. If you're concerned about a user exfiltrating data, maybe that's something that you turn off. A lot of times, if you are promoting a collaborative business environment, you'd want to turn that on. Offline access is something that we do see turned off more frequently. So that turns off the ability for people to say, when my computer is disconnected, allow me to view Google documents or third-party documents offline via Drive File Stream or through the web interface itself, because Chrome can actually have some of that offline functionality as well built in. So there's a lot of controls here in regards to, can my users use Google Docs? That could expose potentially your domain to nefarious tools where people could get access to your information. There are deeper controls. We won't get into it now, but if you want to learn more, please let us know on controlling perhaps the specific extensions that you will allow or whitelisting. Some other, and one of the best features I think with Google Drive is you can create templates, whether it's doc sheets or slides for your user base, and you can upload a set of templates. So if you are constantly creating contracts, I can create a contract template and upload it in the admin panel so it's available to my entire domain. Now, they're not trying to track down the latest template. They're not trying to figure out which one they should be using. It's all readily available to them, and you have control over that right here from the admin panel. You can even, if you have lots of these documents, create categories so it's easy for them to click through and find exactly what they need. And then finally, oops, I went a little too far back. The last item I'm going to talk about here is the activity dashboard. So within Google Documents, you actually can allow the ability for users to see who else has been in their document and when. It's very helpful when you're working in a team to understand if people have viewed the document you've shared with them, and you're able to turn the ability for users to view that information on or off here at the bottom. Okay, great. So there's a lot of functionality in Google Sheets, Docs, and Slides. I don't care, like maybe I want to understand how I can protect my data. Google has built-in DLP for those enterprise users, and setting that up is really simple. I'm just going to go right back to the homepage of the Google admin panel and click on the rules section. Now, with a lot of DLP, you can always set up regex, or you can set up keywords that you want to ping. But Google has some predefined templates for you to use. So if you are concerned about the sharing within or outside of your company with personal identifiable information, you can actually just use Google's template, right? And Google's going to they have set up a series of rules to find information that could be DEA numbers, driver's license, social security numbers, etc. If I want to dig in and see, exactly the conditions or actions that are taken, I can do that. So for actions, for example, maybe I want a notification. I want my super administrator to be notified when something has been flagged as having a social security number or driver's license number. On Drive, maybe I want to make sure that I block external access. prevent exfiltration. Click done. Now I can quickly see on Google Drive, if anything matches Social Security, driver's license, or DEA numbers, make sure to send an email to the super administrator and block access. Now I click create and activate, and I'm done. I'm protected. Google scans files as they're saved, and if you ever use any of Google's files, they're automatically saved every time you make a change. So every time you make a change, the file is scanned for information that may match these DLP rules. If they match the DLP rule, it'll take follow-up action automatically without the need for you to manually engage. So in a half an hour, I've shown you, right, how do I set up my domain? How do I set up my users? How do I set up my services? How do I control my services? And then how do I protect myself legally and from a company data perspective? G Suite is probably one of the easier platforms to ramp up on quickly. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Natalie, unless there are any other questions, which I'll be happy to answer or review any sections that I went through too quickly.
Great. Thank you, Charles. That was perfect. All right, so now that we have reviewed getting set up, again, thanks for that, Charles. Let's spend the next few minutes talking about Google Meet, or sometimes called Hangouts Meet, and Google Chat, which sometimes also called Hangouts Chat. So for those of you who have been G Suite followers for years, you're probably familiar with Hangouts. Let me just kind of give you a bit of background, especially for those of you who are new. Hangouts was a feature in Google that essentially allowed for chat and video chat, right? So it was kind of both of these primary features combined into one. So over the past year or so, Google has been in the process of separating the features of Google Meet, or the video chat, and Google Chat, which is the real-time communication. Sometimes called also Hangouts Meet or Hangouts Chat, or I think eventually, right, just it's going to be Meet and Chat. But let's talk about Meet first. So Meet is video meetings for the business, right? It allows for you to connect with your team from anywhere. You can easily join video calls. You can connect face-to-face with team members around the world. And it's included with G Suite or G Suite for Education, and for that matter. And in response to this global situation that the world is facing with coronavirus, Google's actually responded quite immediately and is extending its Hangouts Meet premium features to all G Suite customers through July 1st, 2020. So this means that all G Suite customers can use, of course, Hangouts Meet today for easy to join video calls, but now all customers have access to more of the advanced features that are historically typically only available for the enterprise customers or the enterprise for education editions of G Suite. So these premium features, as you can see, allow for 250 participants per video call. It allows for any G Suite edition to take advantage of the live streaming, which allows for 100,000 viewers inside of a domain. So this is where you can inside of your domain, broadcast, right, in all hands, a huge organization-wide call. And it also allows for recording of your meetings, and we'll take a look at that. All right, so kind of in line with how we've demoed some of the admin features. And of course, I'm going to, at the end of this, turn it back over to Charles for a quick walkthrough of controlling these features in Meet and in Chat, just like he kind of walked through the Drive features. Let's just make sure we're all on the same page with how Meet works for the end user. So whether you join, you're using your web application, right, to go to meet.google.com. This is where you can actually see your scheduled meetings in the Meet interface. You can actually click to join or start a meeting right from here as well. Or if you're a full G Suite user, of course, you can join your Meet call right from your Hangout. So when a calendar event is created, you can jump into a Hangouts Meet with a couple of clicks of a button. First click to join the call. Next click to make sure before you actually join the call, you have an opportunity to mute yourself or turn off your video if it's one of those days working from home prior to joining. Now, of course, the power in Meet is that it brings us together face to face. So I always encourage my people and your people to keep those video cameras on. We can click now, second click to join the call. And we're joined here, you can see with Brianna, with Austin, and Colleen. Thank you, my wonderful, beautiful models on this call. So again, you can meet with up to 250 people, at least all G Suite editions through July 1 of 2020. And once you're in your Meet, users are able to see the other people in the call, as you see here. We can click up in the top right corner to chat with them. We can turn on closed captioning in our Hangout or in our Meet calls. And that way, this becomes a great tool, whether you're using it globally because we are translating and have different languages speaking in the call, or we're using it for people for accessibility reasons. It's a great way, and need the closed captioning. It's a great way to communicate across all users. You can click to present your screen, share your screen, of course. You can click on the dots to record your call or adjust your settings. So users are able to adjust to make sure the right audio is connected. And if they're ever in a situation where bandwidth is limited, we can actually reduce our resolution here in the video section, right, to kind of work with the amount of bandwidth that each user has. Also in your Hangout Meet, you can click in the bottom left corner to easily see details about your meeting. You can copy joining information if you need to send it over to somebody really quick that needs to jump on. And you can also click to view any of your attachments that were in the calendar event that this meeting was scheduled on. All right, so Hangouts Meet, again, designed to be as easy as possible for all types of users. Thank you, ladies. Now, the other Hangouts feature or Meet feature that we should look at is live stream, right? This is the premium feature turned on for all G Suite editions. Live stream is a great tool that allows you to broadcast a meeting to up to 100,000 people in your organization. So to set up a live stream meeting, you're going to set up a meeting just as you would a regular Hangout meeting. So I'm going to click here at 3 o'clock and I'm going to schedule my meeting called All Hands. I am going to add a Hangouts Meet to this call, and then I'm going to invite any of my other participants who are going to be panelists, right, or presenters in this meeting, which is going to be John Snow and Sansa. Now, typically, I would just save this meeting, and there we go. But now I want to live stream this meeting, so a couple of extra steps. You'll click on the drop down of Hangouts, and here you're going to add a live stream. This is going to add live stream information. So to broadcast or to communicate this live streamed meeting of me, John, and Sansa at the time of the meeting, I can either copy the live stream meeting and email it out. Maybe I include it in a company announcement email or in a newsletter or on our intranet, right? So I can copy the live stream meeting and then paste it into an email and communicate it out as needed. I'll go ahead and also save this meeting. But then if I also just want to very quickly create a calendar event for this All Hands, if I do a one-click on the All Hands meeting that I created where I added the live stream, I can click on those 3 little dots and create a view-only event. This is going to be my live stream meeting where I'm going to maybe add, a big department or my entire company here on this meeting. I will hit save and send the invite. And so now we have the originating meeting that the presenters and panelists will join the actual Hangout. But then we have the live stream meeting that we broadcast or that we sent out as an invite to all of our users. And during that meeting time, they will click on the watch live stream meeting to watch a view only version of our Hangout. Okay. Now, as the one last thing I should tell you, right? So let's say it's time for the All Hands and Arya and John and Sansa are ready to go ahead and broadcast this live stream. They're gonna join the Hangout just as we are used to doing. I'll go ahead and jump in here. And they're just gonna wanna click on those 3 little dots, and they're gonna click to start streaming, and then probably record meeting as well. Most live stream meetings, especially if it's all hands, are recorded. That way we can send out a recorded version to users. So you can see that up here, it prompts you to, this is a live stream meeting, so you can start streaming from here. And once you hit that, it would prompt you to remind you to record it. So it's intended to be quite easy to use, as long as you just kind of walk through that first time of setting it up, because it's a little bit different. Okay, like I said, Charles is gonna demo how to manage Google Meet. And for those of you, especially those of you who are new to these premium features like call recording and live stream, he'll show you how to go in and turn these on. They are off by default, even as they've rolled out. So I will have him do that. But very quick before we get to back into his demo, let's talk briefly about Google Chat. So as I said before, over the last year, Google's been separating Hangouts, Meet, and Chat, right, into 2 independent, integrated, of course, but independent features, right, of Google, rather than being combined. In that, they've actually been working on a pretty significant redesign of Chat. So over the coming months, Google's turning down what we have called, or maybe some of us still call, kind of quote unquote classic chat, which is that instant messaging functionality primarily built into your users' Gmail accounts that's going to eventually be completely replaced by chat. So in the interim, you kind of have both chats available, right? Just to add a level of complexity on it, right? So today I'm focusing on this quote unquote new chat, right? What we're calling Google Chat. So the chat platform today is more of a dynamic chat that can be compared more to applications like Slack rather than just an instant messaging platform. So it's a messaging platform really built for teams, right? Hangouts Chat makes it easy for teams to be able to get their work done in one place, right? From direct messaging to group conversations, chat helps teams collaborate easily and efficiently with dedicated virtual rooms, chat rooms to house, maybe projects over time. And inside of these virtual rooms, conversations are threaded together. So it's designed to make it simple and to track progress and follow up on tasks. Today, chat currently supports 28 languages, and each room can support up to 8,000 members. So to access chat, the most simplest way, right, is just like we went to meet.google.com, we can go to chat.google.com. This opens up your chat interface. And again, over time, there's going to be more integration in Gmail, and this could even, users could actually use this to as a application inside of Chrome. But today I'm just viewing it through the browser. Of course, you can also use this on your mobile device, right? So across devices, chat, Meet, any of the G Suite functionality, right? Drive, Docs, Gmail, it's all so similar across devices, which is one of like the greatest powers, I think, for end users, especially end users who aren't as technology savvy like others. Again, you can see inside of chat, I've started some conversations, either group conversations or individual conversations. And then you see kind of 2 main feature sections, people and rooms. People are going to be my individual chats, right? Or potentially my group chats that I have going with my colleagues. And then you will notice my rooms. So these are the different rooms that I've been added to, or that I've subscribed to, or that I've created on my own. Now you'll notice no matter whether I'm on an individual conversation or group conversation, or even in my rooms, at any time as a user, I can star certain conversations to kind of pull it up into my favorites, or I can turn off notifications for a certain chat, right? Or just remove it altogether. At the top of chat, you'll also notice, speaking of kind of snoozing or turning off notifications, I can snooze notifications. So if I need to go into like power hour, I need to focus on this presentation for the next 4 hours, I can't be distracted by chat, right? Very similar to when we're all in the office, somebody popping by your desk, right? So sometimes I go into a private, phone booth room or meeting room so I can get some work done. I can snooze for 4 hours, right? Or I can, set a different notification or adjust my notification settings. So messages still come in. I'm just not getting the notifications. Okay. You'll also see, again, just to go back underneath my virtual rooms, you'll see, like, if I go into Stark Family, they are separated by different threads based on different topics. So I can respond to the different threads, but I also can create a new thread and start a whole entirely separate conversation inside of this group, the Stark Family, or inside of this room, the Stark Family. So this is great for department teams, project teams, client teams, right, to name a few. The messages are organized in those threads to make it even easier to follow conversations. Of course, in chat, as you guessed, there's deep integration with all of your G Suite tools inside of chat. So you can upload items directly from your Google Drive. You can collaborate together on doc sheets and slides. You can join an online, a meet right from your chat. And you can even use Google's powerful search inside of chat to do a search. If I was looking for something where we talked about our new COO, I can search COO, and it's going to pull any of the conversations that Matt mentioned of our new COO that you see here. Drive bots lets you know when files are shared with you. Comments are made or when people request access to your docs, and the Meet bot integrates directly with Calendar to help you more easily schedule meetings. So you have this whole concept of bots, right? They make for smarter chat. You can make conversations more efficient by interacting directly with deeply integrated Google bots and or other third-party apps, and your users can explore bots. So with all that being said, Charles, what do admins need to know for managing Meet and Chat, right? And or how they turn on those new premium features inside of Meet?
Yeah, great question, Natalie. So the number one thing that we've heard from G Suite partners of ours are, they're on business or they're on basic, and they want to know, how can I get live streaming set up so that my entire workforce needs to view this video. My CEO is going to make an announcement. How do I set up my CEO for success here, and how do we practice it? Well, I'm going to take over control of the screen here so I can demonstrate those settings changes for all of you here. Let me check. All right, so this should be familiar by now. This is our third or fourth time looking at it. This is the Google Admin home screen. We're going to go back to the same section that we visited so many times already in this demo of the admins, the apps section. Google Hangouts Meet is a core application, and so we're just going to go into the G Suite section. And then I can come down, and it's, like everything in the G Suite admin panel, very clear where I need to go next. The Hangouts Meet Google Hangouts settings, I'll click there. And then if I want to change chat settings, I could click in our box right here. If I want to click in Meet settings, I will click in this box here. And of course, I am trying to extend to my user base the ability to record or present to hundreds of thousands of people. So I'm going to click on Meet settings. Once I'm here, we're going to see a lot of different options. Do we want to allow users to call into meetings, right? Turn that on. I would always suggest to turn that on, particularly with some of the bandwidth issues we've been having with so many people working at home. Whether or not you want logs with diagnostic data to be sent to Google, if you have a group of users or your domain is very private, you can turn off the ability for Google to improve their products using information related to web browser mobile-based engagement with their chat and VoIP services. And so here are the two settings rather that you are going to be very interested in. The first is turn on recording. This will automatically be off. All I have to do is click the pencil and then check the box, right? Now an important step here is to make sure you click save at the bottom here. If you don't do that, the setting will not change. I already have it saved, so it won't let me resave over it. The second is stream, same process here. So I'll actually demonstrate by turning this off and then turning it back on. So maybe I'm coming along here, I see that streaming is off. I simply click on allowing streams and check the box. Now, just to engage your minds a little bit here, if you wanted, for example, to only allow streams for executives, you could, of course, click on the executives in a little OU section, and then make sure to turn on stream for just those users. Maybe you don't need your employees or contractors creating streams for the entire business. There are some other advanced functionality here, like the ability to automatically control video quality. I would suggest that you leave that as adjust automatically, and let Google sort of do the hard work of determining what bitrate is best for you. Of course, just as a review, because we're talking about Meet, if you need to turn this on for your user base, there are some people who will turn this off because they're using other services. If you have a service outage and Meet is off, all you have to do to turn it on is to check the box and click on, and it'll roll out to all your users. So again, Google, I think even in this demonstration, you can see enabling functionality for your users is quick, efficient, and even without instruction, you could probably wander your way there. Are there any other questions related to the settings that are available to you?
Hey, Charles, while you're here, there was a question from Cami if chat can be used as a separate app, like a Slack, or does it need to be a window that you constantly have open? Do you know the answer to that?
Google actually does have an independent app for chat that you can install. And so it would be its own window on your computer. The one thing that I would suggest if you do decide to use that application is within Gmail settings, you can turn off the chat in the Gmail interface. And I would suggest you do that because otherwise you'll get multiple pings. You'll get a ping for the Gmail chat notification and then for the app itself on your computer. And that can sort of be a lot. It can be a little sort of background stressor and even confusing sometimes with lots of windows open. So if you do decide to go the route of the individual app, and I know I use that here, and I know Brianna also uses the independent app. It's available for Mac and Windows. So if we can send a link out on chat for her, if we'd like for that download.
Okay, perfect. And we have just a couple more minutes. Anything to highlight on chat specifically, or I think just where it is and.
So sure. So if you know, let's say you're used to using Gmail, but you're not used to using chat or any of those applications, the number one place we always point people is the application grid, which is in the upper right-hand corner of most of the applications. So here, if I click on the upper right-hand corner, I can see Google Meet is here. I can see Google Chat is here. And all of the other services I may need. Now, if I'm an administrator, I'll see this admin gear. But if I'm an employee or an executive that doesn't have administrative rights, I will not see that gear. There are, and one thing I didn't mention here, but we do have a minute. If you don't want people using these additional services, like YouTube, with their work account, you actually can turn that off. Let me show that really quickly. Turning this off as a feature won't prevent their computer from visiting that website, but it will prevent them from logging in under their work account. And so just really quickly to show some of the power you get over other Google apps, I talked about how this was a secondary place that you'll probably use frequently. If you click here, you can, as I had shown you before, you can click to enable or disable things like Google Maps. And YouTube is in this list as well, but I know we need to sign off here soon. But you can turn off those other Google services as well here.
Okay, perfect. All right, thanks, Charles. Before we lose everybody, let me take back control really quick. And let me just finally close out with you guys. Hopefully this information was really helpful. If you have any questions, we're happy to take them via the GoToWebinar control panel chat, and we'll stick around for the next couple of minutes. But before we go, I wanted to address how Worsta can help you with change management, and it goes something like this, right? First, it's really important and really quite obvious, right? But it's important to state this is all browser-based, so it's really easy for users. No software to install, right? So I mean, once it's set up, it's really just about communicating, linking, showing your users, providing them with direction on where to go. So with that, we are a step ahead of you. We have created a goremote.worsta.com site that you can use to really help onboard your end users, support your end users' change management needs, right? In this site, you as admins, there's a section here where you could go for the G Suite admin. You can actually find communication templates under end user resources and a lot of really helpful guides in terms of step-by-step instructions on how to get G Suite set up, or different recommendations around how to use G Suite and how to get it set up as an admin. This site is also loaded with best practices, live training, recorded trainings, tool by tool resources for your users, right? You're rolling out Meet, and we got you covered. We have a video training, we have a user guide on using Meet, we have a user guide on how to use Livestream, we have a user guide for how end users can troubleshoot, and that goes again tool by tool, application by application. So goremote.worsta.com can be a really easy and pretty information-rich site you can use to support your people. Of course, you can reach out to us. My team is happy to work with your organization to create user guides that you may need that are missing from our site, right? You want to make them a little bit more custom. You want to add your logos. You want to put it in reference to your specific use cases. We can do live training, of course. You just need to go to the contact us page, or let us know here on our Worsta website, and I've chatted that out to you guys directly. We are happy to help, and we can, build just about anything for you. You can reach out to me directly at nat@worsta.com. For all of our G Suite customers, if you have, need any help troubleshooting issues that you run into with this, always feel free to reach out to our support team inside of our portal at portal.worsta.com. Thank you, everyone. Again, please let us know if you have any questions. We will stick around here. We've answered a few in line. We obviously read the specific one that could be of use for many of you from Cami, so thank you. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help your organization stay happy, healthy, full of peace. We're all in this together, and thank you so much for joining our session today.